Okay, here we are. So Sue and I would like to start our presentation that I have to say is very intimidating for two reasons. Number one, two of the principals on this project have yet to see the website, which is very unnerving. And two, we're presenting a website after an hour of all of your feedback of what should or should not be on the website, which is a little bit intimidating. But we kind of wanted to start with our story of how we got to work together on this project, because I'm going to disagree with Dr. Kohik right here, and I don't do that often or lightly. But she said that there was this random meeting of how this project came together. But I think, and Sue and I have been in discussion about this, that there's nothing random about the fact that the two of us were sitting in Dr. Kohik's class at Northern Seminary. I could tell you the story of how I'm even at Northern Seminary, which is insane. And the fact that I'm on this project could be nothing else except for God ordained, that you have two librarians with experience and insight into what makes the boring data part become a searchable database. I want you to be very clear that this is iteration number one for you. For us, this is iteration like 776. So there were some limitations, but we think that, or I do anyway, and I'm so blessed to be working with Sue, that this was God ordained. Dr. Kohik.
That's okay. I'll take the correction.
Do you have anything to add?
Carry on.
I feel like you should add some things, Sue.
Well, as she mentioned, I was also in the class with Lynn last summer. And there's nothing like learning about the early Christian women in a group of women. We had two guys, but they were anomalies. And they were really gracious and wonderful men. We appreciated their presence. But that was very moving to me. And then Lynn gave us the option in the class, instead of writing the very long paper, to write, to help with the visual museum and take one of the saints and dig in deep. And do the art commentary and do the bio and do all of the deep digging on that person. And that's like my sweet spot. That's my happy place when I have one topic, one person dive in. And I fell in love with Cecilia, Saint Cecilia. We learned a little bit about her today. But she's anyway. She taught me a lot, and I think just that sense of coming alive and writing that paper was. Then I went to Lynn and I said, I'm on the home stretch of my degree. I'm listed as Women and Theology program, and I will take that, but I'm actually master's in New Testament. And so I asked her, I'm coming to the home stretch. I have the option of doing the thesis or doing the professional project. Would it be okay? Can I help with the visual museum? Because I really came alive when I was working on it. And she said, well, yeah, that would be awesome. You can work with Josephine. I'm like, two librarians. It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
And I do want to clarify that when I said in passing, hey, maybe I could help with that project, I had no idea of what that meant at this point of the project. So here we go. I didn't ask which one moves advance. This one is the website of the Visual Museum of Women and Christianity. I want you to understand that what you're seeing, what we see as librarians on the back end, the data is, how would you describe that? We have a very boring looking spreadsheet that has all kinds of data on it that we are trying to translate into a visual museum that you are seeing. But what we bring to the project, I think, is as librarians, we think about how do people want to interact and search and research content. So again, whatever iteration we're on, we're thinking about how is the user experience for this site. So here at the beginning, this is the door as you enter the museum. You have two ways to enter the museum, and I want you to think of it this way. When you walk into a museum for the first time, if you're like me, you're overwhelmed. You look around and I don't even know where to start. This place is beautiful. Where do I even go? And then as you walk, you realize and you start to recognize the pattern, and you move from exhibit to exhibit to exhibit. Those are all thought processes that we had before we ever started putting together the site. So you can enter the museum and interact with the art in two ways. You can see the art, or you can read the story. Once you're in the door, you can move between those two paradigms multiple times, multiple different connections. But here at the beginning, you choose to either see the art or read the story. When you hover over, you'll know which one you're going to enter. We're going to pretend that we are going to see the art. This is the gallery of pictures of the, Shala took 500 pictures.
560 something.
Was the original content. That's not how many pictures are on this website. And we'll talk about this as we get in, but as you were to scroll down, you would load more and more and more pictures. This is just a random be awed by the beautiful art. As you hover over each picture, you'll notice that it gives you a slight introduction to that person and the art. Already, because this was a very important piece, I think, for Dr. Glahn. I also have to say, please feel free to jump in anywhere. We were bringing to life, we had no idea. They just said, we want a visual museum. We said, well, what do you want it to look like? We don't know. Well, what do you want to do? We don't know. So there was this very nebulous space of Sue and I hearing them in our heads of, well, do you think they might like this? Or do you think they would like this? So they're seeing it for the first time except for Dr. Glahn. But I think, if I read Dr. Glahn correctly, one very important piece of the Visual Museum is that you could access the art free of copyright restriction. You can do that automatically at this page right now with that download button.
Be sure to stay near the mic.
Oh, sorry, I need to stay near the mic. When you click on that picture, it will automatically open up, because we are in the gallery part, it will open up automatically into a widescreen piece of that art. And then also on that gallery screen, when you click, you have another option. It gives you the data that was a little bit small to read on the first. You have a download button again on this screen, so that happens on multiple screens. And then you have, let me show you, the little arrows where you can just continue to scroll down the museum and go picture after picture after picture, or you can go back to the artwork. Also, in the artwork, when you click once, it will magnify. When you're on that screen, you click once, it will magnify to 450. If your mouse is pressed down, you can move to different parts of that picture and zoom in on specific things that you're looking for, the Rand's pose, the pallium, whatever, the palm, whatever you're looking for. I think that this picture is a good example of what magnifying that art will do. This is the original piece. When you download it, this was what it will look like. But when you zoom in, you can get really close to that picture. The other way that you could access the museum is by choosing to read their story. If you were to have clicked read their story instead of see their gallery, it would take you automatically to the collections page. The collections page is different from the gallery page in that it's alphabetized by person. Right now on the museum, we have 12 collections. When I say collections,
Exhibits.
We're talking about, yes, they're really the exhibit that you would see at the museum. So let's say, for example, Agnes of Rome. If you would click on the collection that the museum has for Agnes of Rome, it will bring up her exhibit, which has all of the pictures and documentation that we have available for that person. You really should start talking.
Well, just for that, I'm not.
So if you were to have clicked on Catherine of Alexandria, it would bring you to her first exhibit page. Now, you can't see it in full unless you were scrolling. There's a couple pieces that I'm very proud to say that we did think of that were some of your suggestions. So, for example, you'll see a little I right next to the word hagiography. For the person that would not know what that is, if you click that I, it will pull up a light box that will explain that term.
I'm stepping in.
Yes, please do.
No. So we also, with that, at some point, we don't have it here yet, but we will have a separate list of the glossary terms to be able to find those later. So that's
Yes.
all. Go ahead.
So as you continue to scroll down the page, all of the photos that are associated in that exhibit will be here and clickable as links. Again, it pulls up an introduction to that subject and the artwork. There's another download button. The download button exists a lot. And if you were to click that photo, it would pull up another page. This is how you're going to interact with that particular picture within that exhibit. There's two things that happen on this page. If you click on the art commentary, it will give you another pop-up of a description of that art. So as you and I were talking about how to view or how to read that art, this is the placeholder where that will happen. I want you to know that a lot of this writing right now is us putting placeholders here. Not everything is fully fleshed out. Every photo that's currently on the database, are we at 63 on the site, I think? 63 photos on the site. They all have this skeleton ready to be populated with content. When you close that light box, you're right back to the page that you were on that has that particular piece of artwork for that particular subject. And when you scroll down, it gives the broader view of that, or you can go back to the exhibit. When you click on the photo in that page, you can again zoom in. And this time, there's another information button on the top left, along with that ever-present download button. So you're interacting with this art almost at every page. You can, find the information that you need for that particular piece of art and that subject. So when you click the I button, you'll notice it's dark. It goes back, and it reminds you again, where was that? Where is that located? That content can be changed. Then when you click the back to the exhibit, you're back on this page, and you can explore the next picture in her exhibit with the same art commentary. But then, as you continue to scroll down the page, we get to the story of that subject. So if at the top of the page you had clicked by the hagiography or the biography, if you click that, you can skip the gallery and go directly to this part of the page, which is the story of Catherine of Alexandria.
Can I add something?
Yes, please.
So we began partly, so we've been trying to stay in our own lane. So Josephine's been working on the nuts and bolts of the database program and creating the website itself. And I've been over here working on the spreadsheet and taking every photo that Shala took, and I have a very wide, many columns of my spreadsheet for every single image. And we're capturing tags and subjects and the description and what century of the subject, century of the artist, any titles, all of it's there. The location, who took the photo, all of it. And because I'm a librarian this way, I have the Shala number, I have the number of the gallery, the picture in the gallery, but I also have an accession number. Librarians love accession numbers where every item has its unique number, so we never lose it and we always know what it is. And so every image has an accession number. And those file names are very descriptive. We took a lot of time figuring out how do we name the files so that people will know what they are. And then I've also been working on content, so some of the stories, the hagiographies, and it's not just been me contributing these, but I've had wonderful help from my seminary sisters, and many of them who went on the Italy trip, because many of us, as we went on the trip, we had specialties, and we did our presentations based on the person like Theodora, et cetera, and so I tapped on shoulders, hey, can you write something for the Visual Museum? And that needs to continue because we need to, who said it? It's a community project. So we all need to be contributing. If you have expertise in art history, that's what we really need. I don't have art history in my background, but I'm learning a lot as I go. But anyway, so. Yeah.
And to give you an idea of Sue's spreadsheet, I had to print it out and tape it together, and it was I'm not even kidding, it was 5 sheets long that I had to fold accordion style so that as I'm looking at the photo, I can add all of that information. So just so you know, the boring part that sits behind this photo, so that particular photo of Catherine of Alexandria probably has somewhere near 12 tags that just say Catherine, Saint Catherine, Museo del Opera, whatever the Italian name was, and the English translation of that. So eventually, when we have the search function on the website, it doesn't matter how they type in, it will read that tag and go back. And then another really important part that Sue was telling you about how each photo is named, when you download that photo and use it for you, the really long file name has the subject, where it's located, any kind of tag like pallium or whatever, any data that we could add, it's like a 15-word file tag that you have access to when you download that photo. In addition, at the bottom, we're adding resources for whoever did the writing. Any resources that they used for that writing, we're adding to the content. Eventually, I would assume that there would be an actual resource page that has links as well. This would be an example of biography versus the hagiography. And then did I skip ahead? And then maybe I skipped ahead. This is the About Us page. I don't know how I got here. Maybe I'm at the end of the presentation. But this, when you click the About, you'll notice at the top it is highlighted, so you know what page you're on. And it was the purpose of the grant that we felt was the vision that we were working with. And then we have our principal collaborators on the project. There's also a contributors link. So when you click that, as you scroll down, it will give you, as people are contributing work, their scholarship that gives them credibility. I can tell you that as a librarian, one of the first things I teach my students to do is to validate their source. So we thought it was important to make sure that, yes, it's accessible to lay people, but it has scholarship behind it as well. I feel like I'm missing some pages here. This is also a link on the page. From About? Yeah, I don't know where it went. There's a bunch of pages about Mary somewhere that got skipped.
How about we go on, you want to go online?
Yeah, we could go online. So this is the point where I make it public, and I can let you see Mary, because I think there's some interesting things about her page. You want to field questions while I...
Sure. Any questions?
Why aren't your pictures on there? You guys should have a portrait.
Oh, no. This face is good to be forgotten. I'm sorry. It was a straight line. I couldn't resist.